Good morning, Director Mechanic. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Morning.
Thank you, sir.
You ready? Danielle?
Good morning, I'm just checking my sound.
We're okay, but we have it scheduled for 9:30, not 9:28. Board council, since we scheduled it for 9:30, we have to wait till 9:30? Yeah. So 2 more minutes, Chair. Good morning, Commissioner Miller.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Gil Schusser, HART Board Chair. Please silence all electronic devices for the duration of this meeting. Welcome to the April 6, 2026 Board of Directors regular meeting, which is now called to order. The meeting format is hybrid, with board members physically present at the HART Administrative Offices, 1201 East 7th Avenue, Florida Conference Room, and others participating via communication media technology. Please join me, if you can, in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Danielle, can we take attendance, please?
Yes, sir. Director Cameron Cepeda?
Here.
Director Clendenin? Director Hobbs indicated he would be absent. Director King?
Present.
Director Knight? Director McElpatrick?
Here.
Director Mechanic?
Here.
Director Miller?
Here?
Director Myers?
Here.
Director Niebrick?
Here.
Chair Schisler?
Here.
Director Smith?
Here.
Director Vieira? Director Williams? Here. Director Wolstall?
Here.
You do have a quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, next is our public comment. We will start with a statement from Board Counsel, Mr. Jeff Gibson. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you. Members of the public have a right to speak on any relevant issue during the public comment process. However, certain items may be rooted in contract, pending legal recourse, or prohibited by this board's policy, which prohibits involvement by the board in the normal employer-employee relationship between the CEO and any other employee or employee union of HART. While the public could address those matters, board members are advised not to discuss them during the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gibson. The HART Board of Directors welcomes comments from citizens about any issue or concern. Your opinions are valued in terms of providing input to the board members. When addressing the board, comments shall be not directed personally against a board member or staff member, but rather directed at the issues. This provides a mutual respect between the board member, staff, and the public. The board has set aside a 30-minute period for public comment as stated in HART Board Policy 2104 sub A. The chair will call on speakers by name and order in which the request to speak has been received. When addressing the board, please state your name and speak clearly. Up to 3 minutes are allowed for each speaker. Please refrain from any discussions on any matter brought up during public comment until after all the public comment has been completed. Currently, I have 2 people on the list. First one is Mr. Charles Loeb. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Charles Loeb, Terrace Park. I hope you all had a nice holiday. First thing I want to discuss, basically I want to discuss 2 things, a couple of tweaks I have in mind that would improve the bus service over the long run. That would get you hopefully new revenue and all that. I've already mentioned this to the chairman. I also discussed it a little bit with Heather. Number 1 would be to switch the 6 and the 48 route between UATC and 56 and Fowler. I was told over by the person who was doing the comp plan, there's a big demand for students to go over into various things like the Lightfoot Center and into the church for volunteer work. So, and I also think it's a good idea, also for the stadium and the hotel coming up over there. My main topic, though, is about having full service between, one bus service between the airport and UATC. The UATC is the second most important area in the whole thing, yet does not have direct bus service. There's a couple of different approaches. Number 1, we could extend the 45 from West Chase over to TIA. That's one approach. Approach 2 could be extending again the 275 to the way Miss Egan got it when she got it over a decade ago, to go over downtown into the airport from downtown. And finally, the last approach could be is to try to get a private sponsor such as TIA or USF, or maybe both or whatever, to go directly first from TIA over to the hotel and to the stadium as needed with premium type transportation, and then go over to UATC. Now, it's not like an either or thing. You could do more of the one things. Aside from extending the, aside from getting a new bus routes and all this, I don't see any particular great expense. One big aspect of it is that you don't have to get any new bus stops. All you would have to do as far as the 6 and the 48 is concerned is just switch what buses are going to be over there at the time. Because bus stops are kind of a hassle, kind of a lot of red tape. I don't know about expense, but certainly red tape. It would be a relatively inexpensive and a very important change, I believe, to get one bus with new people coming in here into the community to go directly from TIA to UATC. Because I really do feel it's important. These types of things, although I'm not presenting it particularly well, I really feel over the years will benefit this area greatly. Thank you, and have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Okay, next on the list is Mr. John Green. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning once again. I'm John Green. Often I ask myself what's really happening here at HART. This question I constantly ask over and over again. What I realized over the 2 years from talking and hearing with certain people in the community and looking back at the 3-minute grievances I've brought to this board attention, along with employees themselves about the company policies, is appalling to me. I realize that as a former employee and now an advocate in the community, HART has created an atmosphere and culture of microaggression within management. To the average person, without understanding what it means, but to me, it's condescending and disrespectful. This is what I call conscious undertones and ignorance by some who's supposed to be setting the standards for the company. For example, when the CEO can sit here and say employees don't read. And this was said during the time when we was reminding the board about the retirement, right? He said that employees don't read, right? Number two is when supervisor can actually say that he's a king through an email to the employees, right? At some point in time, we're gonna have to deal with these issues, right? It's gonna come up, and we're gonna deal with them. So be prepared to answer some questions as I continue today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. That's the list I had. Anybody else have any comments in the public? Very good, thank you. Thank you for all your comments. Next on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from March 2nd, 2026 Board of Directors, regular meeting. If everybody's had a chance to look at it, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
A motion, a second, any discussion? Appearing to be none, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion passes. Thank you very much. Next is the consent agenda. The HART Litigation and Claims Committee met on March 2nd, 2026, and recommended approval of item 4A. The Joint Finance and Audit and Operations and Safety Committee meeting met on March 23rd and recommended approval of agenda items 4B through 4D. Are there any questions for staff about the consent agenda items? Appear to be none. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on the motion? Appearing to be none. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Mr. Chair, may I
Yes.
ask a question? I apologize, I should have done this before the meeting. Who are the, if I may ask Mr. Gibson or whoever may know, who are the counsel on that case? Just, I always check this up before. Do you know?
I don't. I would refer to HART counsel.
4A.
On the claims and litigation issue.
Oh, take your time. And we can continue, just in case if I needed it. I'd just like to be careful. 'Cause
We can get you that information.
Can you do it by the end of the meeting? or-
Absolutely.
Okay, good, thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you. I apologize, thank you.
It's, just so you're aware, it's Morgan & Morgan as counsel on that case.
Okay, so just, again, this wouldn't preclude me from voting, but just for the record, I mediate cases for Morgan & Morgan as a mediator. That's all. Not a conflict, I assume, correct? Okay, good, that's all. I had an idea they were involved, so there you go. Thanks.
Okay, very good then. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Next item is action item or presentation. The Joint Finance and Audit Committee met on March 23rd, 2026. We received a presentation from staff in support of this action item and recommended advancing it to the full board for approval. Ms. Shirley Shu Hurley, Chief Financial Officer, you are recognized to present this item. Oh, there she is. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Chair Schissler, board members, and colleagues. My name is Shirley Shu Hurley, HART's Chief Financial Officer. And this morning, we're requesting a board authorization to submit a Transportation Improvement Program amendment, a TIP amendment to Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization and FDOT, redirecting $15 million in currently programmed SU FHWA funds from heavy maintenance facility capital project to bus replacement and midlife overhaul. And SU funds can be allocated to transit capital as discretionary of TPO, which capped at $5 million per year per project. The strategic decision, at its core, this recommendation is about making HART's existing dollars work harder. HART has two near-term capital priorities: maintaining a reliable bus fleet for our riders and advancing the heavy maintenance facility. This TIP amendment addresses both. It protects the fleet reliability in the near term, and it puts HMF project on stronger financial footing for the future. Those two goals are not in conflicts, and this amendment is how we accomplish both at the same time. To answer the question, why now? The fleet need is urgent. 75 HART's fixed route buses have exceeded their useful life. When you include the buses approaching the end of useful life, that figure rises to 86 out of 131 active fixing route buses, roughly 2/3 of operating fleet. Older buses cost more to maintain, and they directly affect the reliability of services our riders depend on. Before addressing the funding move, we want to be clear on the HMF project stance. The heavy maintenance facility remains a strategic priority for HART. Work has been progressing. The site planning, design coordination, grant strategy, deployment are all active. The slides reflect the milestone achieved to date. The recommendation today is not a pause on HMF. It is a step that positions the project for stronger and more sustainable financial strategy going forward. The proposed move. Right now, those SU funds are directed to HMF project, and the ad valorem dollars are being used to buy buses. We're proposing to swap that redirected SU funds to the buses and free up ad valorem dollars. Critically, this is not a net change to the budget. The total amount of money going to bus replacement does not change. The buses still get purchased. What changes which type of dollar pays for them. The reason that the swap matters in this is SU funds are federal dollars. They cannot be used to match the other state or federal grants. Ad valorem dollars can. So by putting ad valorem in the position where it can be used as match, we unlock HART's ability to pursue larger competitive grants for HMF, grants that could bring significantly more dollars into the agency that ad valorem alone could produce. This strengthens HMF. A reasonable question would be raised. We want to address this question directly. Does the move weaken our commitment to HMF? The answer is no. It is quite the opposite. The project of HMF scale, approximately $140 million, requires a full financing strategy. It cannot be built on single funding sources. Staff have been building a robust grant strategy for HMF, but those programs require local funding. Ad valorem is the most flexible local match available to HART. By freeing ad valorem from bus replacement duty through this swap, we give HMF financial funding it needs to complete for the secure and larger funding sources. The ad valorem dollars become a multiplier. One local dollar matched against the competitive federal award brings far more into the agency than the same dollar spent directly. So this is not a retreat from HMF. It is how we build a credible path to get the funding in the future. The board action, staff is requesting the board authorize summation of a TIP amendment to TPO and FDOT, redirecting this $15 million in currently programmed SU funds from HMF capital project to bus replacement and midlife overhaul. And before we open to the questions, we just want to reiterate it. This funding source swap, not a budget increase. The bus is already planned. The HMF remains a priority. What this amendment does is putting the right type of dollar in the right place so that local ad valorem funds, which can serve as match, are available to leverage the larger state and the federal investment that HMF requires. SU funds have historically been used as bus replacement. They were redirected to HMF in 2021. This amendment returns them to that use, and in doing so, freed up ad valorem to do some more powerful, multiply HART's capacity for HMF project. Staff is confident in this recommendation and welcomes the board's question.
Any questions by board members for staff? Commissioner Watson.
Just good job and move for approval.
Aye.
Sorry. Again, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Next, we have the Chief Executive Officer's report. Mr. Drainville, you're recognized.
So the first part of my report, we're going to ask Ms. Bailey to come up and discuss the TICO naming rights.
Oh, good. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. All right, so at the February board meeting, Director Wastel moved that the status and the history of the TICO naming rights and the potential value that might be open for this board be brought back to this board, since this board had the duty to look at revenue-generating options to decide if we would like to pursue an avenue to potentially monetize the naming rights. In your packet, you should have several documents responsive to this request. I'll give you the meat and the potatoes of each document, but if you have any questions, please ask. The first document you have is a 1998 letter agreement from TICO entitled, with respect to the sponsorship. The letter is from the CEO of TICO to the City of Tampa Mayor Dick Greco at the time. And the letter, TICO makes a commitment of $1 million to the endowment fund to support the operation and maintenance of the City of Tampa's proposed streetcar system. TICO, in that letter, noted that they would have the right, but not the obligation, to have the name or the affiliate's name on the streetcar system. The following document is a 2001 tri-party agreement dated December 17, 2001. And in that agreement, we get into the ownership of the streetcar system, which specifies that the city and HART shall retain title to any real property rights, and vehicles either provides for the project. So in that sense, the city owns the rights to the easements, the roads, and HART would own the vehicles. Also in that agreement, further specifies the roles. HART was mandated to provide to THS contributions for the operation of the streetcar. THS was noted to be responsible for the operation, management, and maintenance of the streetcar system. THS was noted to have the right to contract with another party to perform those duties. With respect to the city and the HART, City and HART had the right to approve THS's annual budget, and the city and HART also were to cooperate to obtain additional contributions, operating revenues, and special assessment revenues to enhance the operation funding. The following agreement would be the current operating agreement dated 2023. And in that agreement, THS contracts with HART to operate the streetcar system. With respect specifically to the naming rights, July 16, 2002, you have a letter agreement with TICO, and the letter is from TICO directed to THS, and the purpose was to clarify the understanding with respect to the contributions in exchange for permitting the use of the TICO name by THS. So in that letter, it specifies that TICO gave permission for THS to conclude official registration of the mark TICO Line Streetcar System, and in consideration, TICO retained all rights, title, and interest in the in any use of the name TICO. In 2009, you have an assignment of the trademark, parties to that agreement being TICO and THS. And in that agreement, THS, as the owner of the TICO Line Streetcar System, conveyed, transferred, assigned, delivered, and contributed all of its rights, title, and interest in and to the trademark to TICO Energy. In 2009, you have an associated trademark licensing agreement. And later, more recently, so February 28th, 2025, I took a call with President English, the president of THS Board of Directors, as well as the Jimmy Adcock of TICO. Jan McLean was on that call, and also TICO General Counsel. And in that meeting, we discussed the potential naming rights issue, and they wanted to specify that the agreements were in place, and based on their purview, that the license and the trademark were held in perpetuity, that the naming rights were owned by TICO from the original pledge of $1 million and they felt like it was in fact in perpetuity and would continue even if the TICO streetcar was expanded. So with respect to our legal hangups here, we have substantial legal and practical obstacles that would thwart any efforts by HART to monetize any naming rights. Specifically, the first issue being standing. HART has no standing to challenge or renegotiate the naming rights, considering that we were not a party to the original agreement. Further, the naming rights were conveyed by THS to TICO, and any effort to alter those rights would need to be initiated by TICO. For HART to obtain those naming rights, TICO would have to agree to assign, transfer, or otherwise convey those rights. And based on that conversation, they had no intention to do that. So based on the current structure of these agreements, the naming rights do not present a revenue generating opportunity for HART. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Wastel.
I'm not an attorney, I just want to read this line out of the letter, that TICO Energy having the right but not the obligation to have its name on the streetcar system. That doesn't say that the whole streetcar needs to be named the TICO street.
It didn't, but that was a letter. And
right.
Right.
So where does it say that if this was the agreement letter, it says that it just needs to have their name on the streetcar system. It doesn't say the streetcar needs to be named TICO.
The problem is the assignment of the trademark and then the trademark licensing agreement. It's a 2009, so subsequent to that letter. And in that agreement, THS is the owner of the TICO line streetcar system, trademark, conveyed, transferred, assigned, delivered, and contributed all of its rights, title, and interests in and to the trademark to TICO Energy. And in the agreement, it's noted that TICO developed and established the TICO trademark. THS owns, operates the streetcar system. The parties agreed that TICO would have the right to name the streetcar system in 2002. THS agreed to assign and transfer all of its rights, title, interests in the TICO line's trademark to THS. THS grants a license for TICO to use the trademark for goods, services, identification of the streetcar system, and for the sale of T-shirts and other incidental souvenirs. So that's our issue.
Well, have we had an actual, there's specific attorneys that focus on the use of trademark agreements and licenses. It's a very niche industry, just like intellectual property attorneys are a very niche industry in the legal field. And it would almost seem like there's, besides the fact that I'm going to personally reach out to TICO, this is, I would hope that they don't take the stance that they should own the rights of this in perpetuity. And since this was in place, when did the ownership of the lines, of the carts themselves transfer to HART? When was that?
I'm gonna have to get back to you on the exact date.
Was it after 2009?
No.
It was before,
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely, yeah.
And who made the agreement, since you said that we weren't a party of record, who made the agreement that the streetcars that we own would be named something else? And how did they have the legal authority to do so if they didn't own that asset? That's my question.
So that would be the President English for THS.
Which is, and just, what is THS?
The historical streetcar system.
Okay. Which doesn't own the asset, correct?
They do not.
They don't own the asset, okay. So they made an agreement on an asset that they don't own? And by what legal authority did they do that?
So they're operating under the tri-party agreement dated December 17, 2001, which gives them They're responsible for the operation, management, maintenance of the system. They were noted to have the right to contract. Right. But this agreement was back in 2001. You have the trademarks 2009, and we are, what, more than 15 years subsequent to that with no challenge. Of course, we have not had any attorney that practices specifically or deals with trademarks to look into it, and we can absolutely do that. But there has been no challenge.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, I've always supported your legal opinion on just in some of these niche areas of law. So which part of this agreement are you saying that under their operations, you're saying that they have the right to engage in contracts of naming in perpetuity?
The tri-party agreement. The tri-party agreement gave the city and HART and THS entered an agreement. So the city and HART, they had limited roles. So the city and HART, their role was almost like an overseer, and THS was the governing agent, the administrator, so to speak.
And so you're saying that this is what grants them the legal authority to do so. And you're saying in the assignment of trademark of 2009 that's what permanently named it without expiration?
Correct. And that 2009 trademark, associated trademark licensing agreement. So that's what we would need to explore.
Okay, I mean, I'm just gonna take this for now, and I'm gonna try the easy way, which is just to go have a conversation with Tico. But I believe that there's a way to work around this and this to not stand, in my opinion. But
Judge King?
Thank you. As I understand it, at some point, we assigned our rights over to THS.
No, we didn't assign any rights. We didn't have any rights to assign. So THS assigned the right of the well, let me specify what they assigned. Okay, so THS, as the owner of the TICO line streetcar system trademark, conveyed, transferred, assigned, delivered, and contributed all rights, title, and interest in and to the trademark to TICO Energy.
Okay, so how was THS constituted? In other words, how was it created?
THS, I mean, I think I would have to come back to you with respect to how they were created, but what gave them the role to move in the manner that they did, and with respect to this, would have been that 2001 tri-party agreement.
Okay. Can we unilaterally defund and deauthorize THS?
No, that were created by, I believe, by the city.
Okay.
I think you would have to involve the city.
So we can't negate the contract or the agreement at this point?
We have no standing. We were not a party to the contract, and that's the issue.
Well, since we own the equipment and the facilities and everything that goes into it, except for the contribution that TICO's made, how is it that we don't have any standing at all?
Because we weren't a party to the agreement.
I think that's the basis for going to court on it, because I think that we should have some standing under, because we own the assets.
Right. We can have an attorney. We can see if Gray Robinson has any specialized attorneys that could take this up and maybe explore the trademark agreement, the assignment of trademark license agreement. I think that's probably what could benefit from an opinion with respect to that. But I think the biggest hangup here would be the fact that it is 2026. That agreement was dated 2029. I think we'll have some challenge, and we know that we will have some opposition on the other side. So.
You mean with the city of Tampa?
No, with
With
Tico, with Tico.
Okay. Well, would we be aligned with the city of Tampa on this, or are they on their own?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Director Williams is first. Mr. Gibson, did you have something with germane to this comment?
I
Or is
just
it
wanted to
general?
offer that Gray Robinson does have an intellectual property department, and so the board, if the board desires, we could seek an opinion from that department.
Okay, very good. Director Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you. I see that Director Mechanic signed the letter as a president, and I was wondering if he had additional insight or further clarity that he could provide around the assignment of trademark.
Director Mechanic, you have any comment to Ms. Williams' question?
No, not really. I mean, I have a general recollection of what had taken place during that time, but the city of Tampa was the lead negotiator in that arrangement with Tico, because the city was the primary financial party involved in creating the streetcar to begin with. So the city was the primary player, if you will, in the negotiation.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Clendon, you were next.
Yes, I appreciate the commissioner bringing this forward. I've been actually working on this for months and months. I've had multiple conversations, including with Tico, about the contract, because it does seem absolutely ridiculous that these rights were given in perpetuity. I guess that from my reading, and I haven't actually gotten a copy of that contract, supposedly somebody's going to send that to me, the original, but I understand that there was a lot of other things involved as far as what the future plans for that streetcar system was, which have never occurred. So it's kind of, the full scope of that supposedly has not ever been accomplished, which is probably a crack in the door. I don't necessarily know that Tico is opposed, and that also was limited to the streetcar system from the convention center to Ybor City, not necessarily what we're talking about expansion. So there's opportunity there as well. But obviously, I can't speak on, necessarily on behalf of the city, but I cannot see a situation where the city wouldn't be on board with doing whatever we need to do to be able to regain control of this issue. It's definitely, again, I've spoken to just about everybody that wants to hear me speak, and it's and nobody's really pushed back hard. But of course, when you get down to the dollars and cents, of course, I'm sure the Tico will. Their franchise agreement is coming up.
Okay,
Thank you.
Director Knight, you were next.
Again, I'd like, thanks for the information and also the different opinions. I feel also like communicating with Tico, and I don't see, after about 40 years being a part of Tico, even after retirement, that the good things can come out of it. So working together and a lot of stuff we talk about, probably need to go that route that I've seen and have experienced that they've been real fair. So I would love that approach, however you go about it.
Commissioner Wasta.
Yeah, I wanted to gauge the board's temperature on just soliciting HART. Now, who has the right to ask for a change of this then? Do we have standing to go and ask for a friendly amendment, or who has the right to? And what happened with the $1 million? And what was it used for? We don't know.
I'm not quite
So
sure.
so who can, since it's our, are you telling me that since we own it, do we have the right to go and just request that we ask for a friendly amendment for them to consider? Even if we rename it Powered by Tico, but we're allowed to rename the body of it.
Right, I think based on the last conversation, they were willing to have a conversation. So I think there is a temperature for, or an appetite to have some kind of conversation, even though they were pretty firm with their position. But I think THS definitely has to be at the table. And with respect to that tri-party agreement, I believe we can work collectively. With respect to HART, the city, and THS.
And Not to box THS out, but why do they can have continued standing even though we own the streetcar?
I think the problem is the fact that they actually they operate it, they manage it, they were created to do just that, right? Administer all necessary with respect to the streetcar. So considering that they executed that document, I don't think we can, I think we'd have to deal with that issue before HART can step in.
Who sits on?
President
Perhaps
English.
President English he's on the call. Is he still?
Yes,
President
I'm here.
English, do you have any comments on the current discussion?
Not really.
Okay, all right.
I have a question.
Yes,
Thank
Director.
you, Chair. For council, so looking at the tri-party agreement, one, the severability clause seems just very vague in its current standing, probably by design, I would assume. But dropping down to Article 6, Section 9, so the term of the agreement is for an initial period of 30 years, which is coming up, 2031. But it says here that any party can express the intent not to renew. So that would be either THS, the City of Tampa, or TICO. Could we lean on, I would say, THS or TICO, not TICO, the City of Tampa, to express that intent not to renew or to express the will to terminate early? Is that possible?
To terminate the tri-party agreement?
Yes.
And then, so.
Because I see there is no termination clause here, which is.
Right. So, I mean, that is absolutely an avenue we can explore, but I don't think that does not resolve your issue with respect to this trademark. Right? We still would have to deal with that.
So it's a twofold issue. Trademark
Exactly.
and-
That it's held in perpetuity.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Myers, you're recognized.
Thank you. Is it possible that the parties can call a meeting and come back to us in 60 days with a report of the finding before we decide we want to hire outside legal counsel for billable hours we cannot afford? But I think we can, with your leaderships, sit down with the parties that we're identifying right now and then come back to HART. And that would be my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to study for 60 days and come back. Director Knight.
How about 30 days?
Accept the friendly if we can get it done.
I think if we can also identify someone specifically at TICO, if you have any contacts, Adcock and General Counsel who were on that call they were very clear. So if you have anyone else that should be on that call that could be helpful to getting us to a favorable resolution, that would also be helpful.
Jimmy Adcock with TICO has retired.
Oh, great timing.
Councilman Dennis.
Joel Gray is the government person that you coordinate, and he's the one that could grease the wheels. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, excuse me, this is Michael English. You might also consider adding David Smoker, who is the THS General Counsel, and his firm, he's part of the original firm that represented us from the very beginning, and so he has all that history.
Okay, Brent, do you think 30 days would be sufficient to pull together all the parties and get the information we need? Or would you like-
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion, are you okay with, okay, we have a motion on the floor, excuse me, for, and a second for a 30-day report to come back to the board in 30 days on what we can do to possibly remediate this issue. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Good report. Chair's report, I have nothing at this point. Board council's report, Mr. Gibson, you're recognized.
I also have nothing to report.
Okay, very good. Let's see. HART board committees are in section 9 of the packet, and the reports from the HART board representatives are in section 10 of the packet, and information reports are also provided in section 11. Is there any old business? Appearing to be none, is there any new business? Councilman Clendetti, you're recognized.
Yes, I've coordinated with Mr. Drainville and also our mobility department and the mayor that I would like to make a motion to have HART start the process of changing control of the Marion Street Transit Corridor back to the city of Tampa to give a signal to developers that area is open for business to kind of join the area between Water Street, Channelside, and downtown. So, but right now it's kind of an artificial barrier, and it has been limited use. That corridor, well, the best of intentions, like a lot of things that occurred back in that day, like, you know, Franklin Street turning into pedestrian mall. It was a great intention, but it was not good. The function of it didn't actually function the way it was initially intended. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to initiate moving the control of the Marion Way back to the city.
Well, let me add one something too. It doesn't prohibit buses continuing to use that. It just means that it's not exclusively buses, so that we can open up that real estate to give a hard signal to the developer community that they can redevelop that area and have more forward-facing businesses. Because right now it's desolate. Nobody's developing in that area. It's an artificial barrier to development.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before discussion, I have a question, though, maybe not appropriate to me at this point, but will this all affect HART's funding formula calculation if the buses, if cars are allowed to go on this pathway?
I think it's de minimis, but it's something we can work out with an agreement.
Okay, it's a big chunk for us, so anyway, okay.
You know, honestly, the ad valorem and the increase in development that would potentially be achieved in that area, I think in multiples, even in a year would outweigh what happened.
I'm sorry.
Well, just for the record, we do receive federal 5337 funding currently right now, just under 200,000 because it's transit only. I would request that the city initiate the transition and be consistent with all prior documents that the city attorney's office actually started all the paperwork in the transition. So I would request that the board ask the city attorney to start the process.
I thought you asked me to do that motion here. That's how I would have done that, but I thought I was conforming with what you had requested. But okay, I can do that, but I just wanted to make sure that. So that would make the motion moot then. So if you want to reverse and have the city do it, I can do that as well. But I was just conforming with what you had told me to do.
Well, so just to clarify the record, HART is opposed to doing the transition because we lose our federal funding. But to be consistent with prior documentation, it should be initiated by the city and not HART.
Again, $200,000 for the city with the ad valorem and the increase in development in that corridor we can absorb that through an agreement. So I don't know if that should be a stopping point, but yes, I can go back to the mobility department and ask Brandon to initiate that transfer.
Not necessarily
Mr. Chairman, this is Dave Mechanic. I'm not
Yes,
going to
sir.
support the motion because I don't understand what the initial impetus was for the transition to begin with. So I'd want to know all about that before I voted to change it back to the way it was. So I'm not going to be support motion.
I understand. I believe. Okay, one at a time. Director Knight, you had your hand up first.
Yeah. Thanks, and I like the information, but I feel that something like this, like we always have, we always do a great job bringing it to the board. I feel that it should gather information, take it to the committee, operating finance committee, or our committees. We can scrutinize, we can get information, even additional, whatever, then bring it to the full on vote. And that's the protocol, and that's what we asked for from the beginning. That's what we should do, and I think on this, we should do the same.
Well, I think the intention here is to at least initiate the discussion. So, Councilman Viera.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And yes, when I seconded, I think it, upon initial impression, sounds like a positive idea, but obviously with the inference that we would discuss it and have it go through the proper channels. But again, to get the ball rolling, I strongly support that. But, perhaps a board discussion on it or something of that nature.
Commissioner Wassel.
I agree with the other board members. It seems rushed and out of left field. Most of us don't even know what's going on. And as for the representatives that were appointed here to represent the unincorporated area, if we begin to start nitpicking things, We've heard repeatedly how HART is incapable of properly servicing the 1.1 million residents of unincorporated Hillsborough that are taxed through their property taxes ad valorem to pay for this agency. So I would hate to be forced to bring an issue to the Board of County Commissioners on those laurels to separate HART from Hillsborough County government. So let's be just very careful in the direction that we start moving of breaking contracts. Thank you.
Mr. Gibson, did you ever?
I don't.
Okay, all right, very good.
Yeah, in response to that, I
Councilor
wanted to be clear, what I said was initiate. You know, so that was a open door for discussion. I mean, maybe that wasn't as clear as it should have been, but initiate was never the intent of, again, and that's why I asked HART to go back. It wasn't a motion for this board to take up this decision today. It was because of a conversation I had with Mr. Drainfield that it was to initiate that discussion of the HART to be able to transition this back to the city. I've had multiple discussions, including with the Downtown Partnership, the city, mobility, and the developer community. You know, and just also to phrase this intent is Marion was, again, it was a great idea, but unfortunately, I mean, I don't know how many decades. Does anybody here remember when that was first transferred over? But it's been a long time.
Yeah, it was September of 1987.
So 1987, so we're talking, what, almost 40 years of time this is used, and it's been unsuccessful. It's a desert. I mean, it's a desert that is now, you know, attracts homeless. There's no commercial activity to speak of on this large swath of property through downtown Tampa. In discussions with Justin prior, I've had this discussion for the last 3 years. There was an initial intent was to have a South Transit station and, you know, turn this into a vibrant type of transit. But again, you can't change human behavior, and human behavior has not adopted this area in almost 40 years, has not adopted this area as a viable true transit corridor, similar to like 16th Street in Denver. I think everybody points to 16th Street in Denver as a example, but again, 40 years it hasn't worked. So my goal is to not restrict buses on it, but to be able to open that area up to the development community, because right now, again, as I said earlier, it serves as a kind of a artificial barrier, an artificial wall between the current central business district and the development we're seeing in Channelside and Gasworks and Encore. So we've got this kind of big desert in that area. So that's the intent. It was just that's why I came to Scott, because we had this conversation, and he said he wanted me to make a motion. I thought it was more appropriate for me to make a motion, but again, I can bring it back to mobility to start there. But I really do believe, honestly, Scott, that it should have, some of that work should come here, because all the background and information, so this board could be briefed as well, rather than be just one-sided on the city.
Okay, well, so, at this point, your mobility office could come up with some suggestion. In the meantime, your staff could put together our position on the whole project and issue. Is that reasonable with everybody?
I think just to clarify too, to add, the city of Tampa owns the transitway. So at the end of the day, if the city of Tampa wants the transitway, I think it's within their rights to take the transitway back. So.
Well, just so everybody's aware of the financial impact of that.
Staff will bring back on
Staff
information.
will come back at the next board meeting and move forward accordingly.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Everybody okay with that? Any questions or concerns? Ms. Williams?
I have no questions.
Okay, very good. Okay, any other new business? Appearing to be done. Thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I thought it was withdrawn. I apologize. I thought it was withdrawn.
If it is the request of Mr. Drainfield, I will withdraw it, and I'll start this on the city side, and then we'll bring it back to HART after the city side does it.
My apologies. I thought you had withdrawn.
So I'll withdraw the motion.
Okay. Motion's withdrawn. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.